It seems to me that a lot of people who are in religion that want to get in on this debate, they pick and choose the teachings that they want to teach. They don't teach everything from the Bible. They pick and choose. That's not right. I have the right to marry, and no matter what happens today or in the next couple of years, I will marry my partner. It's going to come. It's going to change in this country. It's changing across the entire world.
And your question is?
My question is to the two reverends, and of course the others if they want to chime in. The difference between, or I should say, hold on, the division of church and state.
What's the question? I want to make sure we're...
I mean, do you understand the meaning of the division of church and state, and do you agree with it?
I think the phrase that's typically used is separation of church and state. So I know the question was asked of Joe and John. Let's just get you to weigh in on this. Is there a separation between church and state?
I would like to see there be a separation whereby the state is the one who offers the marriage license, and that way we can determine that everybody gets equal rights and everybody is afforded that without religion being a part of that. And then the church or the faith community has the right to bless that wedding, bless that marriage according to their own traditions and beliefs.
John?
Based on my perspective and research, the separation of church and state was never about keeping the church out of the affairs of the state. It was about keeping the state from dominating and controlling the church and our conscience, our own freedom of conscience.
Yeah, Mark, he's correct. The phrase separation of church and state is not found in the Constitution. It speaks about the establishment of religion, and the Founding Fathers are clear, and in fact it came up as recently as 1992 in the Supreme Court case Lee v. Weissman, that the establishment of religion is violated whenever any citizen is coerced by the government to do something that violates his own religious faith. So long as there's no coercion of a person, there is no Establishment Clause violation. The idea that that clause creates some sort of division between church and states, it's not found in law and it's not found in history.
So you can't use that to silence. You can't use that to silence people who have a different perspective than you. To appeal to separation of church and state.
That's actually, he's actually right. I mean, hold on.
All right, hold on. Let's bring Ashley into this.
We know it is the exercise clause, where you are free to worship however you see fit. And the reality is that you're right.
Thank you.
You're right. That there's no coercing, or there's no, using that as an argument for telling someone what they can and can't believe. In the same way, you are stepping on the rights of worship of other religions.
May I say
like
this,
the Muslim imams
this
who
notion,
can't perform the polygamous marriages.
Let me say this notion about religion. My perspective is that everybody is religious and everybody has a religion. It's just a matter of what it is.
Okay, we'll leave it there because I want to get back to our audience. Please tell us who you are, where you're from, and
I'm Kathy Rodom. I'm from Candler, and we're talking around this issue. Why are we not looking at, we're talking about a sexual behavior here. There's a twin study that was done. In fact, there's 8 major twin studies that were done in Australia, U.S., and Scandinavia. And 8 of the 9, and in fact, one of the Scandinavian studies had 7,600 identical twins. 7 out of the 9 of them were heterosexual. If this was an innate, inborn type of condition, then you would find all of the twins being homosexual, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you find that? Absolutely you would. The only thing that they have in common is environment. That's the only thing. So, marriage is not about, hush a minute, I'm on here now. Marriage is not about getting benefits. Marriage is about taking care of raising the next generation. Why do we always talk about the black family that has been decimated by the liberal laws that we've got? Your
question is?
And my question is why are we even talking about this? Because we're talking about a sexual behavior that is not innate and inborn.
You're wrong. Joe?
you compare it to African Americans, there are no former African Americans out there, but there are a plethora and a multitude of former homosexuals.
All right, let's get our panel into this. So Joe, is this just, ladies and gentlemen?
Let's not shout
I want to
anyone
hear from
down.
Joe.
This is democracy. It's
Joe, is
beautiful. Let's let
this
it
strictly
play.
behavior issue and about sexual conduct, or is there something else at play?
I would say very strongly this is not just about a particular kind of behavior. I think I am saddened by the misinformation that has been spread around. But I also understand the grief that some people feel as changes take place and try to understand what's changing. But this is not, the medical evidence is pretty strong, the scientific evidence is pretty strong.
All right,
There is
all right. John?
the immutability.
Okay, I'd like to ask our audience, ladies and gentlemen, the most important thing is let me be in charge or else I'll be unemployed, and that'll be on your conscience. Okay, I want to get John to weigh in on this, please.
The immutability of skin color, I think, is unquestionable. But to argue that sexual orientation or sexual behavior is innate, there's no science to support that. I hear comments all the time about studies to prove some existence of some kind of gay gene, but there's no science to substantiate that based on my research.
Mark, this came up in the Supreme Court. This came up in the Supreme Court, Mark, as some of you know, I'm a lawyer in the gay marriage litigation at the Supreme Court. And the studies that were filed, the scientific studies, is that when you have identical twins, if they were males, where one is a self-identified homosexual, 8% of the time his twin brother also self-identifies as homosexual, 92% of the time he does not. Now with girls it was different. When one was a lesbian, 22% of the twins identified themselves as homosexual, 78% did not. I don't know why there's a difference between 8 and 22, but if it were innate at the moment of birth, there would be 100% in both columns. Identical twins, by definition, are born identical.
You know, we keep talking about studies, we keep talking about science. Studies are flawed, and I believe that Kim would agree with that many times studies are flawed. They're based on ideology. And the bottom line is this. My question in response to it is, when did you know you were straight? Oh, that's ridiculous. What study was out there when you decided you were heterosexual? When is that decided?
Well, studies are particularly flawed when we disagree with them.
All right, I'm going to go back to the audience, and then after that, I need to get back to social media in a moment, but I want to get another member from the audience in on this issue. Please tell us who you are, where you're from, and ask your question.
Mary Love from Asheville. And my question is, you said that there was a way where we could legally have our rights without marriage, such as the fact that my partner would not have to pay an inheritance tax when we wanted to put her on the title of my car. Now that was going to cost us some money, so how do I get around not having to pay for that legal right?
If that were held in trust, you wouldn't have that issue. That's more of a legal question. So
well, okay, that's fine.
If you go to an estate lawyer, those things, there are existing legal institutions.
Yeah, that's right, but I have to pay for an attorney.
The average cost of a gay person for all the rights and things that they have to put together to protect their families and you know, their relatives, their partners, is almost $500,000 in a lifetime. So we have, you know, over 100 people here.
Well, you're going to some lousy lawyers. A good lawyer could do 10 grand. I mean, that is a price tag. 10 grand, sure. I am a practicing lawyer.
But my question was, how do you?
I don't think we're putting a price tag on this.
Yes, we are, because you said we could do this legally, and I'm saying, are you going to give that right to me for no money? You're not going to charge me anything? Because that's what happens when a heterosexual couple gets legally married. They don't have to pay anything for the same things I have to pay for just to have equal protection for my partner.
Well, we have some smart people. We have some smart people and some smart lawyers in this country. And I'm sure that a way could be figured out to address that without changing the definition of marriage.
Will you help me do that? me and everyone else that's gay and in a loving partnership? We've been together for 16 years. Will you help us do that?
I will do anything I can to help you or anybody else I can help. Absolutely.
All right. And this is a great point. I need to get back to our viewers at home because they've been part of this debate as well, and I want to find out what's on their mind. Darcel, what do you have for us?
Well, we're going to begin with the snap poll, Mark. This is the one on the real threat to gay marriage is divorce, or is it? We have 33 yes, 5 no. Some of the comments we have from Jackie Klein, the real threat, she says, to marriage is infidelity. Yes. Then we have another comment from Jeremy Hensley. Agreed. Americans should be able to have their freedoms as long as they are taxpayers, get over it, and move on to some real issues. Now, we also have some comments from Facebook, and this one is from Wanda Works. And Wanda says, is it really okay to break the laws of nature? No, it's not just a religious argument. Human beings were created, male and female, to naturally multiply. The sad thing in today's world is that so many things that are wrong have somehow become right. Amen. Now, we have another Facebook comment, this one from Kat Smith. If you are a Christian, that's great. If you are against gay marriage, that's your personal opinion. But if you remove your religion and personal feelings from the equation, how can you justify denying a same-sex couple the right to get married? Now, from Twitter, we have @LaceyLavinia. I think we've heard from her before. Let people get married if they want. Don't start trying to change others' lives until you are living a perfect one. We've also gotten questions from people who've emailed them in. Now, this one is from James from Old Fort. And his question is, given the facts that a search of any website inquiring about the physical health issues of homosexuality will expose, does the idea of political correctness and civil rights justify the risk to society?
And Darcel, not everybody that can hear the question, so please repeat the question so they can hear in the back.
Okay, this question is, given the facts that a search of any website inquiring about the physical health risks of homosexuality, given what that will expose, does the idea of political correctness and civil rights justify the risk to society?
All right, so Ashley, is there a greater risk to gay couples or same-sex marriage couples together, health risks than there is to anyone else?
I don't know that I quite understand the question, truthfully, because it seems like we're talking about these generic risks. Every home has risks. Every family has risks. That's not a gay, straight, anything. That is a fact. Every home has risks.
I think I understand the question. It's not confusing to me. I think there is mountains of evidence to show that there are unique health risks associated with the lifestyle. And I think the Center for Disease Control, as well as many others across this nation, that's not my personal opinion. I think the evidence is there.
If we're going to go, if that's where we're going to go, why don't we just call it what we're going to call it? We're going to call it sexually transmitted diseases, HIV, everything. Those are just as prevalent in same-sex relationships as they are in heterosexual relationships. That is a huge one.
But the difference is,
I'd like to ask our audience when our panelists are answering to keep it down so we can hear what they have to say. Please give them that courtesy. Go ahead.
the difference is I don't see anybody in our culture trying to legislate adultery and all these other things you mentioned and criminalizing disagreement as we seem to be doing with the same-sex issue question. That if I respectfully disagree, then somehow I'm being disrespectful towards you. And that's just simply not true.
All right, let's leave it there at the moment on that. want to I've got some questions in the front of the room, in the back of the room, and I've got a lot of folks I want to getting into this debate.